There is no arguing that in a game like Overwatch, fast-paced and high-mobility heroes dominate the meta entirely. For this reason, dive has been the established standard for Overwatch. Now, while there have been some discrepancies with specific maps, generally dive can be dominant throughout most SRs and most maps, and up until now, we haven't really seen much of anything else. However, recently, we have seen more and more viable comps, such as Hog Orisa, Quad Tank, and Deathball, being played throughout most SRs. Brigitte's addition, however, might very well mean the death of dive, and bring upon us a new era of mobile versus sustainability comps. My name is Nathan, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. Brigitte is a very interesting hero. It's the first time that we've seen an addition of a hero that fits so many versatile roles. While Zarya could come close to the powerful duality of tank and DPS, there really is no other hero that fits so many roles at the same time like Brigitte. Brigitte can play as a tank while also healing, while also dealing a substantial amount of damage. Jack of all trades, master of none, if you will. So with this in mind, let's take a look at Brigitte's kit. Brigitte lacks heavily in range with no movement abilities to be able to go in for a deep dive, and no just generally ranged abilities. Her kit is designed in such a way that when her team props her up, she can fill so many roles at the same time. She is heavily anti-dive, and if you can land all of your abilities as Brigitte, you can actually keep entire enemy teams at bay, ensuring that they must stagger into the fight and not have the power of focus and burst fire. And we've already seen non-dive comps become more and more viable with the addition of Orisa and Moira. Brigitte only allows the further usage of comps like these. Brigitte fills a very important hole in Overwatch's roster, a sustainable anti-dive healer. When a Brigitte player has a good team that actually props her up, allowing her to use her abilities to the fullest, we see teamfights actually go really quickly and counter dive extremely efficiently. After playing a solid amount of GM pugs, that is Grandmaster pickup groups, which are more structured than regular comp and are a good way to find out what is meta, I must say, playing dive against a team running a good Brigitte was extremely frightening and something that was extremely potent. But with this in mind, it was also very easy to counter. All that was needed was a hero like Hanzo, Soldier, or McCree on high ground to counter this comp. It provided a very interesting counterplay of counter-picking. Counter-picking comps in Overwatch is already extremely powerful, but the addition of Brigitte only means counter-picking becomes more important. It becomes a game of rock, paper, scissors, where each team counters another team comp, with specific team compositions being more viable on different maps. This adds a new dimension of Overwatch that hasn't really been explored much before. Very soon, we will see very anti-dive comps be extremely viable, opening up the game to a new style of comp that was typically only enabled by the map, no longer requiring a specific map to be run. Brigitte's addition will bring the dive and mobility meta down to the level of other comps that haven't necessarily been the standard of Overwatch for so long. So with that said, this doesn't mean that Brigitte is going to be overpowered. She definitely is powerful in the right circumstances, but she definitely isn't a hero that requires insane coordination to be countered. She provides a very solid addition to the Overwatch roster, a hero of important offensive but also defensive duality. But now let's switch gears and look at Brigitte herself instead of the comps that are enabled or disabled by Brigitte's presence. Brigitte, being a tank and support, can act actually very similar to a Mei providing off-tanking and DPS. While she doesn't necessarily fill one slot completely, Brigitte can aid comp in lacking areas. For example, if you want to run a Lucio Zen but are worried that it won't be enough healing, Brigitte can actually fulfill that role and allow you to play tanks like Rein Zarya with a sustainable DPS, a comp that used to actually be very difficult to run without enough coordination. Brigitte allows you to run a comp like this just at a simpler level. All the team needs to do is speed him, ensure that Discord is on the face tank of the enemy team, and Rein Zarya can hammer and laser away, with Brigitte also in the front line providing sustainable healing and peel should the tanks take too much damage. And similarly, Brigitte can fulfill the role of off-tank in the event that your matchmaking team decides to just be stubborn and solo tank. Brigitte, being the jack of all trades, master of none, allows her to just pick up any disadvantages a team comp might have, just either due to the matchmaking teams being stubborn as always, or just from a general weakness of specific teams. There has never been a hero like this, so versatile and so potent. And for my last point, I just want to touch on the relatively low mechanical skill required to play Brigitte. As most Overwatch players are aware, there are a lot of heroes in the game that don't require pinpoint perfect aim, and that are just either very resource, game sense, or positioning intensive. Brigitte is another one of those heroes that is a mixture of all three. She doesn't require very much mechanical ability, but she does require extremely disciplined positioning, game sense, and resource management, the trifecta of non-mechanical oriented heroes. She allows players that might not be used to traditional FPS shooters fall into the niche role of extremely high skill ceiling with low skill floor, and more importantly, low mechanical skill floor. She's a hero for those of you who might not have the best aim in the world but might understand the game very well and have the ability to understand the game at a level that your teammates in your elo might not. In addition to this, she isn't particularly boring or a brain dead hero, so there's no reason to complain that somebody would be a Brigitte main, as the positioning and game sense required to be an effective Brigitte would be far above that of which would be required by that of a more mechanically intense hero at the elo that you play at. Overall, Brigitte has been a very necessary and important addition to the game. While she might not enact a revolution of the Brigitte meta or something like that as others have suggested, she definitely will shake up the meta as we know it and provide an entirely new dynamic to the game that hasn't really been seen before. And in addition to this, we will see a hero that has enough of a steep skill curve that doesn't require intense mechanical skill, so it will be a very welcome and very needed addition to the Overwatch hero roster. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'd like to know your thoughts on Brigitte's addition and what you think her impact on the game will be. Also, I'd like to hear how you guys think her name should be pronounced. Personally, I think her name is Brigitte, but I've been told that it's pronounced Brigitte, but it could also be Brigitte, it also could be Baguette. I don't know what it could be, so who knows. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like as it really helps us know that you guys are enjoying the content, and don't forget to subscribe as we have a lot of Overwatch League content and tips and tricks videos so that you can be the best Overwatch player that you can be. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. My name is Nathan, and this was Blizzard Guys.